Welcome to Nailing the Apex with Tim Hauraney, Adam Wilde, and the man, the myth, the legend, Guenther Steiner. Welcome to the show.
Hello to everyone, and thanks for having me and to call me a legend. I think I've got a way to go there to be entitled to that title. There's a little bit of titles here, yeah. But anyway,
you're a legend in our books, man. That's all I got to say. Actually, I just wanted to ask Guenther about the Miami GP and the brand ambassadorship you've got going on there now.
Yeah, I got a lot of going on lately here, a lot lately. The last, when all stopped at Haas beginning of the year, I didn't expect to have all these things to do, and it's, when you're in Formula One, you've got just a tunnel vision. You do what you're doing and you keep on doing it every day. Don't look left or right, just keep on going. The next race, what do we need to do? What is wrong? Try to fix it. So when you're out of it, all of a sudden, a complete new world opens to you, or it opened to me anyway. I didn't know that this world existed, and so I got quite a few approaches, offers, whatever you want to call them, and I was like, wow, I didn't expect them. And I said, don't say yes, but also don't say no, because I just needed to find my way through it, and there is some things came up which I was very interested in, and again, it almost sounds arrogant to say, I can pick what I'm doing. It's not. I don't want to sound arrogant, but in the end, it's like, what do I like to do and what not, and what can I be good at and what not? I always try to do the things which I think I can be good. Sometimes I achieve it, sometimes I don't, but anyway, at least I learn then. And then the Miami ambassadorship came up, and I talked with Tyler Epp and Tom Garfinkel about it, and I said, that's actually a cool thing to do, and it can help Miami GP, it can help Formula One in general in the US, and then they explained to me why it would be good for them to have me along. And I said, okay, this is something I want to do. And I respect a lot what Tom Garfinkel and Stephen Ross did with the Miami GP, because I was there at the first Grand Prix 2 years ago, and it was a great event. Obviously the first year is almost the most difficult one because you learn so much, and you have to then adapt and make it better. And they did everything and more than they had to do to make it better the second year. So I can see their vision. And their vision was to make Formula One not only a car race, but making it an event for people to go to. There is so much happening in Miami GP these days, and that came over the years. Like this year, there is, I don't even know where to start. There is the F1 Academy race. There is the Super Cup race. There is, in the infield, so many things to try out. And then, what I think we need to do in the States is get the general admission. People go to the race and to see it, give them the chance to go and see it, that they keep on coming back, and their campus ticket, it gives the people a real chance to see these cars going by a few yards away, where nowhere else you can do that. Having the hospitality in the stadium gives them the chance to look down and see their heroes, going in there. So I think it's a very cool thing to do, and that's what I'm doing. And I really enjoyed it to work with these guys, because I see the effort they put in to make this a very good event.
Guenther, if we were to rewind, say, 10 years back to when you were launching the Haas F1 team, and if somebody had told you, hey, in 10 years they're going to have a race in Miami, it's going to be in its third year, and by the way, you're going to be one of the big faces, one of the big draws that brings people in, would you have believed them?
I wouldn't have believed them if they told me 5 years ago. We don't have to go back 10 years, it's just like, it's so strange how it developed in the United States, Formula One, or in North America, I would say. It's like, it's amazing, it's cool, and I think we have got a lot more to go, a long way to go here. So I think it's a cool thing which happened here, but no, I wouldn't have even dreamt of this happening, honestly. Didn't even spend any thought about it, but it was nothing, it was a little bit like my idea, let's make an American F1 team, see if it works. And obviously, you need the luck on your side as well. But we started something here, and the sport, since Liberty Media took over, just keeps on growing and growing,
How else do you think this sport can grow in the United States and in North America? Because obviously the Netflix Drive to Survive series has done, wonders for the sport here. And then same with, F1 and their social media team. They've done a great job as well. What else do you think that, F1 could do or target to keep building that fan base here?
I think one of the things F1 is doing next year, there is the movie out with Brad Pitt. I think that will be, again, because you introduce people which before maybe never watched it, and they say, hey, watch this movie, and then I come back. I think you want to steer me there to say it, because it's the white elephant here. It's not have Max not dominating the championship. Yeah. That would help a little bit.
I actually wasn't steering you that way, but sure, okay.
I go straight there. I go straight into. I take the words out of your mouth. Because that would have been the next question. Would not help if Max wouldn't be dominating. Yes, sure, it would help then. So. But it's that would help a lot, because how sports. I mean, I live in the United States now. This year it's 18 years, and while in the people which watch Formula One a long time, they are used to periods of domination. Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, but I don't think it's not only an American thing, let's call it, that domination is not what people want. It's mainly a generational problem, It's a generational problem that young people, if always the same people is winning or the same result is coming, they lose interest. And we need to be respectful and say, yeah, I understand that, it's just difficult. The guy is just doing a great job. I now need to contradict myself what I just said, but the guy is he's in a very good car. But look at Checo Perez, which is driving the second car. He's not, he can be beaten, and Checo is no fool as a driver. Checo is a very good driver. I've got a lot of respect for Checo, but he cannot do what Max is doing. Max is just in one of these periods in his life. He's in the best car. He's in the best moment of his life. He's happy. He looks anyway happy to me, Whenever I speak with him, he seems to be happy. And everything flies, He's on this wave where nothing can go wrong. But as we all know, all good things come to an end at some stage, Not that I wish him bad, because I respect Max a lot, what he does, and he's a very good driver. But it will end up, and I think we just need to be a little bit patient and not lose the patience and not watching it anymore. That is my pledge to people which say, yeah, Guenther, it's easy for you to say because you are working in it. I just want to watch an interesting race. So I think we have to wait a little bit, and things will change, and I don't think it's far away.
Tim and I, Guenther, have talked about the fact that the rest of the field has really gotten closer together. And if you really love the sport, when I started watching, it was during the, Villeneuve, because we're Canadian. That's what got me into the sport when I was 8 years old. But Schumacher's era was right after that. You had Hakkinen and some of the other great drivers at that time that won multiple championships. There used to be two laps, they would finish 2 laps ahead of drivers. That doesn't seem to happen anymore. And I think that not a lot of attention has been paid to that, but that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And as you say, in qualifying one now, between P1 and P20, normally it's around 1 to 1.5 seconds, which, if you think about it, the best to the worst car is 1.5 seconds over a 1 minute 20 or 1 minute 30 lap. It's nothing, in time. So the field bunched up, and if you also look who finished second at the races, this year Checo finished second quite a few times, but there was a few races where, like what Lauda did last weekend in China was quite amazing. Nobody could get near him in second place, and if he would have not this Max being on the wave, he would have won the race. And obviously now it's easy to say the race in Australia when Carlos Sainz won. Should I don't know, but obviously because Max retired on the first lap, so we wouldn't know. But I think the Ferraris were very strong, and in China the Ferraris were not the second fastest car, so it's not a given. So as I said, we just need to be a little bit patient, and as you say, focus a little bit more also on not just the winner, focus on what else happened in the sport, So in the midfield, obviously you've got this year very strange. You've got 5 teams on top and 5 teams a little bit slower. There is between 5 and 6, there is basically a half a second gap or 0.3 of a second gap. But within the next 5, they're very close. So there's always a fight there about things. So there's a lot of interesting things to watch at. But and I think it's still very interesting. Even for me, in qualifying, it's not a given that Max will be in pole position.
It's interesting to see just how much the field is actually really has come together and begun to converge, and you kind of wonder about upgrades and updates when teams start to bring them, and how much performance they can actually gain from that, because it does kind of look like Red Bull sort of hit that ceiling, and then it's just sort of incremental gains for them, where you look at a team like Ferrari and like where they're at in terms of their performance with the car. They've talked a lot about a big update coming to Imola. Like how much performance do you think is sort of left there for a team like Ferrari to catch up for this season, just for this season?
Always very difficult to say about upgrades, but as you just mentioned, if you think Red Bull is ahead, and it's more difficult for them to find performance than of somebody which is behind, because they've got margin. They know it's possible to do it. So to predict what Ferrari brings, I don't know, but for sure, I read the same, and Fred told me, I think in Australia, that they're bringing a big upgrade for Imola. So hopefully, and you just need one good upgrade and you get very close. I mean, look, last year when McLaren, they were nowhere in the beginning of the season. They bought 2-3 upgrades. All of a sudden, they were on for the podium, and these big teams can do this. I wouldn't say magic. They can do work hard and can get performance out of what they've got. And further back you are, more opportunity you've got. It's logic, because somebody has achieved it, so you've got the opportunity to get there. It's not something what you say, maybe it is there, maybe it's not there. It is there. You just have to find it. Yeah. The justice a little bit maybe doesn't give enough justice. The justice not easy.
Hey, Guenther, you mentioned Fred Vasseur, and in your book, which I devoured, by the way. I did the audiobook because I love audiobooks, and I loved walking around the house and doing chores and, listening to you kind of recount the story. You talk a little bit about your relationship with Freddie Vasseur, and also you guys, you kind of joke around on Drive to Survive, and you see it sometimes in interviews, and he seems like a very calming influence on the Ferrari paddock and that team's performance. And this isn't to take away that anything that Mattia did as well. So this is not a shot at him, but Fred's got some sort of, he seems to be an interesting guy to work for. What do you think Fred Vasseur brought to Ferrari that's kind of propelled them to be, a team that's going to get Lewis Hamilton next year, a team that's seen Carlos Sainz race so well this year, and obviously Charles Leclerc as well? What do you think he brings to that team?
I think with Fred is one of these things. Fred is in racing a long time. He still has his own team in Formula 3, Formula 2. He has his own company, or he had, I think he sold that one. I don't know exactly his business dealings, but what he brings, he's calm, he has nothing to prove. He doesn't come into the office under pressure. Obviously, there is always pressure going racing, but not to prove himself. I mean, that pressure, he has got that because he's all right. He brings that one, the calmness of that one. And I think that goes over to the people. They say, we can do what we need to do. He lets them do their work. And I think that helps in general to put people in a good place and to be constructive and not distracted by political, whatever pressure it's in a team, because at Ferrari there will be always pressure. You cannot take it completely away. I mean, it's the national team of Italy, and also everybody looks at it in Italy. Every day is something in the newspaper about Ferrari in Italy, so you cannot avoid that if you are in there, But and it's very difficult. But what he brings is like he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. I mean, he wants to prove it to himself. I mean, I asked him, why are you doing this, Fred? And he said, I was given the chance to be world champion and I want to take it, But it's not like that I need a job. No, I want to take this challenge, and if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, I wouldn't say he says fine anyway, but he tries hard.
Mm-hmm. I've been in a couple of the FIA press conferences where you and Fred were seated together, and it's always like really fun to watch the two of you. Where did that friendship start, Guenther? Like, where do you remember exactly the first day you met him?
No, I don't remember. I know Fred quite a while, but never had to deal with him directly. Fred, I think we shouldn't see this as negative, but being French, they're a little bit, sometimes a little bit pushing off. But we got close together when he was running Alfa Romeo, because we were side by side. And after a while, we actually found out that we can have fun as well, And he realized who I am, I can make a dealing being tough, but the next hour I can crack a joke, because it's not, life is too short, to be miserable all the time. So, and I think I bring this out in guys, because I don't, I don't care doesn't mean that I don't care. I don't care about, I say things other people wouldn't, and I'm relaxed about it because, it's fine, and a lot of people like that because, it's Formula One. There is pressure. We all know that, but we don't need to be always under pressure. We can have a moments to enjoy things, and that is where it came from. We just started to have. If we were bored, Fred, let's have a coffee, and then we were shooting, So and there where it came, and then we took it into the press conference.
What do you think it's going to be like when Lewis Hamilton joins? Working under somebody new for the first time in a decade. And working under Fred, what do you think that's going to be like for Fred? What do you think that's going to be like for Lewis?
They know each other very well. That is partly the reason why Lewis ended up at Ferrari. They know each other. When Lewis was an up-and-coming racer, he drove for Fred in Formula, I think it was GP3 and GP2 at the time. He was always in Fred's team there. They've got a very good relationship. And I do not think that Lewis would have left Mercedes if Fred would not have been at Ferrari. That's my honest opinion. I mean, I cannot prove this, but that is my opinion. So they will have no problem to get along because they're good friends outside of racing still, So I know that one. So, but I think that will be very easy for both of them. Obviously, the issue could come up if they don't have success, that or one or the other, either the team or the driver doesn't perform, and then obviously it's a new scenario. But I think they've been there before, and I think they've got a good chance to sort the problem out.
What do you think? What do you think of the rest of the field? Because Lewis Hamilton moving was like a bomb going off. It was such a huge story, and you look at what that does for the Audi relationships, the driver lineups for Red Bull have been called into question. How do you think the rest of the paddock is going to react to this lineup next year? Because Carlos Sainz is no joke either, right? He's a fantastic driver. He's had a great year. He's a free agent. There are rumors, but how do you think that's affected everybody else?
I think the market is affected by, in the moment, there is two seats. I mean, one is not filled, which is the Mercedes seat, but obviously we cannot hide behind that one. The Mercedes seat in the moment, they are not the Mercedes they were 5 years ago. It's a different seat. Obviously, Mercedes will come back. They're a good team, everything. But in the moment, next year, I don't know how good they are, because they struggle, and it's we can say it openly. So how good is that seat? I don't know. And how what is Mercedes? What is Toto thinking? Who they want in the seat? Do they want somebody to get by next year to be ready for 26 with the new regulation, or do they think they have a good car next year and they need the best driver in there possible they can get? So that needs to be decided. And then it's always this question mark about what this Checo Perez is. He going to be confirmed at Red Bull or not? Depending on that one, I mean, obviously that is the seat to have if Checo is not getting confirmed. But Checo is doing a good, decent job in the moment. So I don't think Red Bull is really thinking to replace him right now, So, and then obviously Carlos has got the other opportunity with Audi, which is not a secret anymore that Audi wants him at Audi, for 26, which would mean he would move there next year. So I don't really know, but I think Carlos will not have an issue with the seat. It's just which seat he can get, so he has to wait. And, and I think all the other ones are happy to wait for Carlos, except Mercedes, which I don't think they really know what they're going to do yet, So, but he could be a candidate for Red Bull. But, I mean, Carlos was at Red Bull, and going back to Red Bull is always difficult, as we all know, So I don't know where that stands. But there is a lot of, but before these things are decided, nothing big will happen, in my opinion.
Okay.
Looking at that second seat at Mercedes, if you're Toto Wolff, like who do you put in there? I mean, like there's been a lot of talk about Kimmy Antonelli, but who knows if he's actually ready for that kind of a step. And I think, maybe as a team principal, you don't want to kill that guy's confidence too early. You kind of want to bring him up, I think, and build him up a bit. But if you're running Mercedes, like who are you putting in that second seat at Mercedes for next year?
Very difficult to say. As you say, Kimmy Antonelli in F2 this year up to now, it wasn't fantastic, but then it's always the dream there, do something like Red Bull did with Max. Years ago, when he was 18, came straight from Formula 3 into F1 and was good. Can that be replicated? I don't know. But then it's more like, where do they really think the car is next year? Because if they think they can get the car sorted, you need the best driver you can get in that car. Because Mercedes wants to challenge for wins, even the championship. They cannot have a year where they say, we just put somebody into training for 26, which would be the case of Kimmy Antonelli. Because I mean, even when Max came in, he went first to, at the time I think it was Toro Rosso, just to learn about it before they put him into the number one team, which was Red Bull. So it is like, it's one of these things. And I don't know the thinking there. And it's not an easy decision. And it's one of the decisions which I think it's very difficult to get right. But once you make the decision, you need to stand behind it. You need to have a clear, that would be my decision, saying, if I put Kimi Antonelli in, if you have got a good car, I know that we will not get the best out of it for the championship, but at least I get the best driver. Or I think what is the best driver in the future, ready for 26, where we want to win the championship again, But if I'm convinced I've got a good car next year, I need to stick behind and say, I put the best driver I can get into it. The problem there is then, if I get the best driver, he's not going to do a 1-year contract. Yeah. And then if I still think to put Kimi Antonelli in, it's like, what do I do with him afterwards? Because we invest a lot of money. It's not an easy... Yeah. Lewis didn't make it easy for Toto, put it this way. I just get confused about all what I just said now, because I didn't give you an answer. The only answer is, Lewis, he didn't make it easy for Toto.
Guenther, there are rumors this past week about Nico Hulkenberg potentially going to Audi, and it's nothing confirmed as of yet. No announcements made. But what I wanted to ask you is, Nico was out of the sport, and you called him and put him in a seat. And I guess I just want to know what you thought you were getting then. I mean, because he's been spectacular for Haas. Like, he really has. He's been a fantastic driver for them, qualifying well, racing well. When you called him, what was that conversation like? And you must be kind of proud and impressed about how it's gone.
Yeah, no, the conversation was, I was thinking, what could we do best? And as you guys maybe know, we never had the biggest wallet to pay people, so I needed to find something, make it interesting for somebody to come to Haas, which is good, because after the years we had before, it was difficult. But I mean, can you imagine last year having Kevin and Mick in the car? It wouldn't have been an easy year, but we got some highlights mainly because of Nico last year, and he did a fantastic job. And I was positively surprised when he came in. I knew he was good, but I didn't think he can come back this strong, personally. I mean, I was more than happy with it, but I was still, I must admit that I was impressed. I couldn't say I knew this was all coming. No, I wasn't, I was hoping for good, but I got better, so I think we gave him a good opportunity, but he played ball. He was very loyal to us, to me, because he always told me, you gave me a new chance. And, and we respect each other. We've got a good relationship, of respect. We don't need to speak about this because he helped me. I helped him. It's fine. It's a good deal, because without him, Haas would have been in trouble last year already. We were in trouble anyway, but at least we had some highlights with him. And this year he's doing great again, So obviously I think that he's going somewhere else, and you all know where he will be going, to Audi. I think it's the worst kept secret in the moment, will be announced pretty soon. That he's going there because it's an opportunity for him as well. And I'm happy for him that he ended up in a works team. At that stage in the career when a lot of people had written him off, he's doing good. It's a good comeback story, a very similar one like with Kevin, and I took these decisions, or I worked on this because that was the only opportunity for us to get this kind of talent, people which are out, but I still believe, and you support them to get the best out of them, that was always how I try to do things, because we couldn't get Lewis, he wouldn't come, and we wouldn't have the money to pay him,
But you asked, right? You made the call anyway.
No, I didn't even waste my or his time because I knew the answer, And it would be 2 words, and it wouldn't be Merry Christmas,
No.
So.
Now we have some listeners' questions that we're going to sprinkle in throughout the interview, Guenther. Tim, do you want to go ahead and ask a couple?
Yeah, for sure. So Guenther, you got a lot of fans out there. So Tori Adlington asks, if you could build a dream team with any two drivers from any point in F1 history, who would they be?
Any point in history is always difficult to say because you've got the heroes and legends, but we can answer it. I mean, I would have Niki Lauda because he was a friend. And, I have to be careful here because if she asks me, what would you do it to win or would you do it to enjoy yourself? Because if I would enjoy yourself, I would get Eddie Irvine back because, I mean, you just have got a good time with him. But otherwise, if you want to win the championship, I would take Niki and Ayrton Senna.
What was it about Eddie Irvine that was so much fun?
I mean, the guy is just a machine in doing things and saying things he shouldn't be doing. It's like, but no, he was also a good driver. Don't take away
his
skills. He was a good driver. No, it was just I had that my first year in F1 was with Eddie, and you never forget these things. And we actually still have a good relationship. And it's just. It was a very interesting time, to say the least, We were nowhere, but we still tried to enjoy whatever we did,
Any good stories you can tell us that won't get you in trouble?
No. Anything done with him gets you in trouble,
That's
awesome. Tim, you got another one for us?
Oh, man, there's so many. Okay, this is from Ryan Esch, and he asks, what was your proudest moment in F1?
My proudest moment was when we got out with Haas in 2016 Australian Grand Prix. It's one of these things because, I got into motorsport in a very strange way, and it all, and then ending up to start a team from scratch, finding an investor, and then going to the first race, being ready for it by so many people not giving you any chance to make it right, and then getting there, everything is ready, having a very good team around me, build up a very good team, with dedicated people, and then scoring points. That was the proudest moment of my career in motorsports.
This next one's an interesting one. I got a question for the back end of it after you're done with the answer. It's from @Conman81, and he asks, how can 2026 regulations change the battle from the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams?
I think in 2026 we cannot anticipate anything. There's so many changes. It's so, I wouldn't be brave enough to say who's got the best engine. I wouldn't be brave enough to say who's got the best chassis, who's got the best aerodynamics. Everything is changed. So I think we need to be patient and wait. I think an important thing, we speak a lot, how should the regulation be? But I think it should be turned on by the FIA now to discuss what can we do if you've got a dominance? If somebody finds something nobody else finds, how can we have a fair system in place to keep people not in check? Because I'm against balance of performance. But,
right.
If it's a difficult task to make a regulation, such a dramatic regulation change, and there is the best people out there trying to do this. And if you think that all end up at the same level, it's difficult to imagine. So if somebody's got a disadvantage, how can we make sure that not the other ones, it just keeps an advantage for the next 5 years? Right. That is the biggest task in the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's basically like the sort of a follow-up question I kind of had. Like we're in sort of this period now where you're starting to see a bit of convergence, and who knows what could happen if you left the aero regulation the way it is for the next, the next 5 years, right? I'm assuming we would probably see some pretty great racing. So every 5 years you're always changing the regulation. You're always getting a team that just comes out being dominant, and then all the other teams are taking that time to catch up, and you kind of lose that battle at the front. So do you think they should be thinking about a new regulation for 2026? I know it can't be changed now, obviously, but do you think they should be doing that for the following regulation, I guess I should say?
I think we go to 26 and see what is happening. But as I said before, we should, FIA should look at how can we manage if somebody comes out, like we had the Mercedes domination years ago. They just had the strongest engine. Yeah. And obviously when you have the strongest engine, allows you to make mistakes with your aero. Because you cover them up. But then when you make mistakes, you learn and then you catch up again and you keep that advantage. If somebody comes out clearly with an advantage, it should be somehow in the regulation that they need to, for example, freeze or stop to develop something like this. Not making them go slower by putting weight on or giving them less fuel or something like this. No, by just saying, hey, you're not allowed to develop, or you're allowed to develop at a lesser rate than the other one. Something like this, I think, should need to be thought. It's not an easy thing to do, but it needs to be thought for.
So right now they have like the obviously the split between the wind tunnel and the CFD design time. Like, I think it's around 70% that Red Bull gets for this year because they won last year's championship. But do you think that should be lowered even more? And if so, like, what do you think it would be? What do you think the smart thing is for them to lower it to?
Yeah, it doesn't work. Obviously, we can see that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, yeah, good question. Yeah, obviously, we cannot give them more, So yeah. But I think we need also to, it should also be looked in because the engine they're running on the dynos is limited as well. I think there will be a big change in the engine rules by changing so much that somebody can have an advantage, because it's a very difficult technology introducing much more electric power than that one. So there needs to be also thought about that one, not only about aero. And as I said, it's not an easy one, but then reducing it too much, then it becomes too much of balance of performance, and Formula One should not stand for balance of performance. I'm against that one. So I don't have the solution, but I think as long as people communicate about how to fix it, and people is willing to fix it. Obviously, the guy which is leading Red Bull would like to have this regulation for the next 10 years, I think, because they think they can keep on winning, even if you think that maybe not possible because of the convergence, But it's like it needs to be talked about how to find a fair solution, which is fair to the sport and fair to the spectator, because balance of performance in Formula One will not work.
Right.
I got one from Speed Racer, and they ask about grid expansion and, why not Andretti when they have seemingly a better launch point than what Haas did?
I think the sport is in a completely different place now than it was 10 years ago when Haas entered. The sport was weak 10 years ago. The sport is very strong, but it's not strong enough to say now we can just add people and make the other ones weaker, because adding people would make the other ones weaker in a sense of financials I'm talking about, So why would you risk the well-being of the 10 teams which are there now, introducing an 11 team, because maybe 2 or 3 teams then are struggling, and then what are you ending up with? And again, I think, and it's not against Andretti, it's against the 11 team, I clearly said, because I have nothing against Andretti, but I think FOM is taking that decision, not admitting an 11 team for now. They said, when General Motors is ready in 28, come back and we see if the sport is ready for it, And FOM is just looking after the well-being of the whole sport, which means they look after the 10 teams, which made a lot of investments into the sport in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, Ferrari even 70 years, I think, So they're looking after them instead of admitting new ones. And I think FOM is in the best place to judge this, because they know exactly the business cases of all these teams.
Right.
Have you spoken with Michael at all over the past few months? Like, is that something you'd be interested in, like, in the future?
No, I haven't spoken with Michael. I think I spoke last time with Michael about 2 years ago in Miami, personally. But no, and I think Michael is set up. He set up what he has got the last 2 years. He doesn't need me in the moment to get in there to do anything. He has got people there which can do the job, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Guenther, one of the highlights of your book is the Dakar rally, when you were talking about doing that rally and how intense that is. And you had an unbelievable story about just even getting through it and surviving it. For people that are getting into Formula One, I think Formula One for a lot of race fans is like the entry point. And then they go, oh, wait, there's a whole bunch of other circuits that are so great. Like there's the 24-hour Le Mans, and there's you can watch Formula 2, Formula 3. You can watch WEC. You can watch IndyCar. What do you think? What's your second favorite circuit? If Formula One's your favorite thing to watch, or to be at, what would be number 2?
I went to MotoGP last weekend in Austin. I really enjoyed it. I haven't been at the race since, I think, 17 years. I was in Laguna Seca 17 years ago last time. Yeah, that long ago. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's what I said. Wow.
Wow.
I really enjoyed that one, but I like rallying as well. And I haven't been at the rally maybe even longer, not maybe without 20 years. So I would like to go to a rally in the near future just to see where that sport went, because these sports, they change so quickly and they're so different. But as a sport, what I do with MotoGP and rally drivers, I respect the drivers a lot because they take risks. I mean, they are. It's quite crazy what these guys are doing, the rally drivers in a car and the bike riders on a bike, I went on to the 2-seater in Austin. That was pretty cool, and that was like, it was a wake up call for me. It's like, wow, there's still stuff out there, which, as if I would have known before, maybe, exactly, freak you out. I mean, it was cool, and I was very happy to have done it. I was not like, I would do it again, but it is something. It's really cool. So these two things I quite like after Formula One.
Did you ever get a chance to spend time with Colin McRae at all during the WRC days? And what was he like? I mean, I loved watching that guy.
I spent quite a lot of time with Colin. He drove for us, but with the Ford Focus, and he was a friend. We became friends, and unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But no, I mean, driving a car, for me, the natural talent, I don't know anybody like him. I mean, the guy, he didn't have to study or train, or I mean, it was just effortless, he just had the sheer talent and no fear. That element was as well for me. It's like, dude, I mean, he didn't know the word fear. I mean, he just, okay, let's do it, No, but he was a character on absolutely.
You make fun of yourself in the book all the time, and you make fun of yourself all the time just generally about how you like to talk. And I want to know if there was anybody that you've ever met in the sport that left you speechless, like somebody you grew up watching and idolizing, or you were starstruck by someone.
To be honest. I get speechless when my wife shouts at me, then I'm speechless, Yeah. That's the only thing which makes me speechless. It's like, is it really this bad,
Well, was there somebody? Well, I guess Niki Lauda's got to be one of them. But where you meet legends of the sport, and you go, "Wow,
absolutely."
I cannot believe I'm in the same room
from
with this
Niki's secretary that Mr. Lauda wants to speak with me. At the time, it was Mr. Lauda for me. I was like, "All right, then, if he wants to speak with me, I'm ready." So and he called me up a few hours later, and we spoke. And he just asked me, "Can you come and see me? I want to speak with you." Sure. And we actually had a very good time, It was very strange because obviously I asked, because it was two weeks out from the cold to when we met. I asked people, what is Niki Lauda like? I said, he's pretty harsh, I mean, you will have 20 minutes, you will get your schnitzel in, and then he sends you off the road, All right, then, So we had 2 hours, and I really enjoyed, and we really got on. And the next morning he called me up, and 8 a.m, we finished dinner, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock. It was pretty late because I arrived late in Vienna. And he called me up 8 a.m. Yeah, Mr. Steiner, thank you for last night. It was a good meeting. You will be working for me. And I said, what I'm going to do for you, Mr. Lauda? I don't know yet, but I will tell you. All right, then, All right, then. Yeah, that was him. Because he had no clue what he was going to do with me, to be honest.
Awesome.
Now, knowing him, as I got to know him afterwards, I was like, he will have a plan. No, he had no plan. He just...
We have a couple more questions for you, and then we'll let you go. We really appreciate your time, Guenther. From Adam Haggerty, he asks, if you have the opportunity, would you ever be willing to manage an F1 team again? And then he says he wants us to tell you that...
First of all, thank you for that. And as I said, I mean, if a project comes along, and I say a project, I mean, I'm not calling up people to be a team principal, to be honest. I'm enjoying myself here, what I'm doing. If a project comes up which I'm interested in, yes. If it is just like to do another job, no, because I've got enough going on in my life, So I will stay around, as you see in Formula One. I will be around. I will be doing things, and I will not disappear, So hopefully that I can stay around a few more years longer, but I'm pretty happy where I am. I'm doing about half of the races, and I'm not doing always the same thing. I'm for different TVs. You know me. I mean, I cannot, just being normal like everybody else. Because normal is relative, in my opinion. So, but I will be around. But I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no.
Are you enjoying not having to travel as much? Because I remember you were having to travel from your home in the States to Europe, back and forth. Like, are you enjoying?
Yeah, it's good also to be with the family. My daughter is 15 years old now, and the last 10 years I was gone a lot, and I think they are still enjoying to have me around. I don't know how long that will last, but I think they are sometimes pretty happy if I'm gone for a few days, but in the moment, it's not long that I'm gone. I'm gone normally a few days to Miami. The family comes with me, so it's all good, but it is good and you get worn out by just traveling, and you don't realize it anymore because it becomes normality as well, and it shouldn't be normality to travel this much.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you're going to see Tim down there. I'm sure you guys will run across each other on the paddock as the Miami Grand Prix kicks off next week. Guenther, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate your time. And I know that the dogs were barking before the show started. And so I hope all things
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me, guys. And I enjoyed to be with you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you, Tim, in Miami. See you. Thank you, Adam. Bye now.
Thank you.